as Rockets GM Daryl Morey says LeBron is the GOAT by a big margin. Stephen A., let me ask you this. Can the Kings still do anything to pass MJ as the GOAT?
No, not to me. It's a very, very simple answer to me. When you lose 6 NBA Finals, there's nothing to talk about. I'm not questioning the greatness of LeBron James in terms of, you know, his overall skill set and his overall impact to winning and losing basketball games. That's undeniable. I think that it's a debate as to whether he's number 2 or number 1 on Mount Rushmore of basketball, to be quite honest with you, because I think he's that great. We can't deny that. But there are too many moments along the road where he came up a bit small. That's not to say that Jordan was perfect, that there weren't times when he struggled. But when the moments mattered most and he was called upon to deliver, he rarely, if ever, let us down. Jordan went 7 consecutive years averaging 30-plus. For 13 years in Chicago, he shot 50.5% from the field, which is a better overall field goal shooting percentage than LeBron James, by the way. He was a 9-time first-team all-defensive player. He didn't take time off defensively. He embraced the toughest defensive assignment night in, night out during many occasions throughout his career. And for me personally, even though I can understand how people can look at LeBron 6'9", 260, a locomotive coming at you, a physical specimen, the likes of which we haven't seen this side of Wilt Chamberlain and Shaquille O'Neal, basically. At the end of the day, Jordan didn't have that at his disposal, still did what he did, still rose to the occasion in big moments, was unblemished and undefeated in NBA Finals, never even allowed the Finals to get to a 7th game, was the ultimate assassin. And I look at those things and I say, whatever LeBron James does, without questioning his greatness in any way, when you bring up Jordan comparisons, there are too many down moments that he had that we would never associate with Michael Jordan. It's not even a debate to me.
The answer is yes. There are things LeBron James can do to become the GOAT, but he's not the GOAT yet. And Daryl Morey is simply incorrect about this. And I won't even veer away from analytics. I'll use analytics. Now, it's possible that Daryl Morey, maybe even likely, is looking at different analytics than I have access to because he's the GM of the Houston Rockets, and that's an analytically based organization. He makes very good use of them. Nevertheless, the most sophisticated, cutting-edge analytics that I've seen say that in their primes, Michael Jordan was better than LeBron James. In other words, he's hit a higher peak. That's really what we mean when we say greatest of all time. I believe what Daryl Morey is talking about is essentially counting win shares, if you will. And given the fact that LeBron's peak is close to Jordan's, and yet it lasted much, much longer, now Daryl Morey can say, when I add up the win shares or add up the years that he increased our win probability or championship probability, I have more value on the LeBron side of the ledger than on the Jordan side of the ledger. That's not what most of us mean. It doesn't mean that, like Bill Walton was the greatest anyone's ever seen for 1 year. We're not talking about those guys. But if you hit the highest peak anyone's ever hit, all alone on that peak, which Jordan did, again, according to the analytics, and you sustain that for a reasonable period of time, in Jordan's case, at least 6 years. I would argue he was by far the best player in the world before he won a championship, and we could debate that another time. That makes you the GOAT. Now, what can LeBron do to pass Jordan? He can do the impossible, Stephen A., because you think that's impossible. He's nothing he can do. Me too, right? I thought that about LeBron in the past. It's impossible. How are those Cavs going to beat those Golden State Warriors? He figured out a way to do it. If he somehow goes to LA, for example, this year where he is, and with that squad beats the Golden State Warriors, who just added the 5th Infinity Stone with Boogie Cousins, if he's healthy by the playoffs, if he overcomes that in these playoffs, reestablishes the Lakers as the brand in basketball, as a championship dynasty, spends 3 years there, wins a couple championships, at a certain point you got to say, damn, LeBron's prime wasn't even when we thought it would be. He actually entered his prime later, got even better. If he could do something like that, which I don't think he can, he'll be the GOAT. Otherwise, he's still never been as good as Jordan at his best, who was at his best for many years.
The debate ultimately brings into question the performance against the Dallas Mavericks in 2011 in the finals. It brings into question 6 finals losses overall. It brings into question the 71-point difference in a 5-game loss to the San Antonio Spurs when the Spurs ran Miami out of one building after another. It brings into question all of those different things along the way, not to mention the rules changes that have taken place within the NBA, where you can get called for a foul for having bad breath, for crying out loud. How considerably softer the game is, and how it's more facilitated for relatively offensive-minded players than ever before. And it also takes into account what you do defensively. If you were performing at an elite level defensively in this day and age, where, again, you can get called for a foul for passing gas, the way a Kawhi Leonard, when healthy, accepts every tough defensive assignment, your arguments would be stronger. If you want to ignore how like Michael Jordan could average 50 or 60 in today's game because of the ways the rules, sort of paves the way for offensive-minded players to really have their way, then that would be different. But those things are not the case. Those changes have taken place. They've been implemented. It facilitates things to make things easier for offensive-minded players, particularly with somebody like LeBron James, who does get hacked a lot or whatever, but creates a lot of the contact that comes his way. It's not like he's sitting innocently by and getting hacked. He creates that contact as well. All of those things come into play that make me say, I would never question your greatness. I would never question how great you are overall, but I'm not going to label you the GOAT when you have so many down moments to point to, and Michael Jordan does not have those moments.